I don't really know that much about bikes yet, but I do think I know why I've started to fall for them. It might sound silly, but I think it all started with a movie or a film if you're from my neck of the woods.
One man will risk it all.
I'm Andy and I'm in my late 40s and I've only just recently started riding motorbikes. And because of that, I'm not here to teach about motorbikes, I'm here to try and figure them out. I grew up in the 80s, and back then I didn't understand very much, but I knew that these 80s films made me feel a certain way. Take the movie Tron, for instance. I remember that film as far back as my earliest memory. And if you know what I'm talking about, you'll remember the glowing light cycles. As a child, I thought that was cool. And then what about when my parents would go out and I watch films that I shouldn't really be watching on VHS, like The Terminator? And I always thought that were a Harley, but in the original one, it wasn't. They're actually a Honda CB750. Now there's a bit of movie trivia for you. What about films that weren't even about motorbikes, like The Karate Kid, where the kids chase Danny LaRusso, the main protagonist, down the beach on dirt bikes? But one moment out of all of those is stuck in my mind. That's where Tom Cruise, playing Maverick, is screaming down a runway on a motorbike with an F-14 Tomcat just at the back of the shot, and he's racing the plane as it's about to take off. Now back then, I didn't know what kind of bike it was, but I didn't need to. That's all I needed to know about biking. Now just quickly, before we get any further into this video, just 32% of the regular viewers of this channel are subscribed. If you're in the other 68% and you're enjoying this so far, please hit subscribe, and in return, I promise to keep making these videos better and more entertaining for you to watch every week. So years later, the opportunity has arisen for me to ride a Honda VFR800. Now this bike is from 2001, but the original VFR 750 was released in 1986, the same year as Top Gun. And it looks and sounds like something from one of those action movies. It's not packed with tech. There are no fancy screens, no riding modes, just one engine and 4 cylinders. How do I know there's 4 cylinders? Because I Googled it. And it's got a sound that makes your chest buzz. You could almost argue that this VFR800 was just like the films that Hollywood used to do before the technology took over. So I found out that this engine is called a V4, and I didn't know what that meant until recently. And it turns out that it means the engine's got 4 parts, well, cylinders, and they're arranged in a V shape, just like 2 rows pointing at each other. Apparently, it's the same kind of engine that Ducati and Aprilia use in their really fast bikes. And it gives you a strong pull. I think you guys call it torque. And to me, it sounds absolutely wild. And then there's this thing called gear-driven cams. I'm still learning what that means, but to me, it's the reason why this bike has got this mechanical spaceship whir to it. And I'm told that you only get this from this generation of the VFR800. On paper, this bike isn't super light or crazy in power, but once I got on it, especially on these roads, it felt perfect. It's worth noting, I've not ridden this style of bike before. The handlebars are in a different configuration to anything that I'd ridden before. And the way that I was sat on the bike, I felt like I was sat on top of it rather than sat on it. It became apparent that this bike is not trying to hide anything. There's no computer stepping in to save me. Everything that I did, I had to think about. You feel everything, the bumps, the weight, and the way the bike reacts if you push it just a little bit too far. And then there's something else that I need to mention, the brakes. These brakes are linked. I've never ridden a bike with linked brakes before. And if I've got this right, what it means is when you press the back brake, the front brake comes on a little bit as well. And if you press the front brake, the back brake comes on a little bit as well. So there's no independent control. And as a new rider, that's a little bit strange, but some people love it. And then there's others that don't. Me, I'm a bit indifferent. But I suppose for the people that don't love it, it's a bit like the 80s movies where they tried to blend 2 films together from different genres, like a sci-fi and a romance. I think Some people feel like, although it sounds good on paper, you just end up with a bike that's the equivalent of Howard the Duck. Unexpected, a bit odd, but somehow it's got some character. Modern bikes remind me of modern movies. They're packed with loads of features, electric this, electric that, mode for this, mode for that, screen for this, screen for that, electronics everywhere, technology everywhere. But this bike, it's like one of those 80s films. It's a bit rough, it's a bit noisy, but it's full of charm, and the stories that you can have with it are endless. If you're like me, I keep watching a bit older films, and I think I do it because it makes me feel something. It takes me back to an age that makes me feel a certain way, and I think bikes like this can also do the same thing. And even though I didn't ride in the 80s, or the 90s, or the 2000s, or the 2010s, it takes you back to that time. Just like listening to a song from the Eagles that makes you think of California. I've been doing some reading into this V4 thing. Apparently Honda spent years trying to get it right. It's smaller than other engines, but it's still as powerful. And the way that Honda built it gives the bike this steady and smooth pull. And this particular model, the one I'm riding now, is from the sweet spot between the eras. It's got the gear-driven cams that people absolutely love. There's no VTEC and no chain-driven cams. They came on the 2002 model. So this bike's like owning a movie prop from your favorite film before CGI took over. You know it's real. You can hear it, and you can feel it, and you can smell it. Riding this bike has not made me feel like a middle-aged man that's late to biking. This bike made me feel like a kid again, watching old films, dreaming of doing something exciting one day with my life. The thing is, with this bike is, it doesn't do the work for you. It makes you and me part of the ride. And now this ride has taken me somewhere unexpected. It's taken me onto a runway. And you might wonder how I've managed to get onto a runway, but that's for another time. And it's looking pretty likely that I'm going to be able to achieve my childhood dream of launching a bike down a runway. Although I'd like to think an F14 is going to take off at the side of me, realistically, that's probably not going to happen. For all the keen-eyed out there, this is not the Kawasaki that Maverick run down the runway. However, this bike feels just as much as the Kawasaki in the film Top Gun to me. So I'm sitting here on the bike, my heart's pounding and my hands are clammy. And it's not because I'm scared or because I'm nervous. No, it's the anticipation of what's about to happen. And it's funny because I've dreamt of this moment 1,000 times in my head, but now it's arrived. It's different. It's real. This could be the only chance I get to do this, and I want to feel every second of it. It's not just about speed and how fast this bike can go. It's about stepping into that very scene, and in my own stupid, silly, but equally valid own way, I'm stepping into that story that I've loved for so many years. I open up the throttle. I try not to wheelie it. Remember, this isn't my bike, but once I get over that initial kick, I wind it back. And all I can see is a straight line. There's nobody pulling out from a junction. And guess what? Me and this bike are now the fastest thing in my eyesight.
Pow!
Yeah, that happened. Some super modern rocket, just like a jet, passed me. It didn't just pass me, it passed me like I was standing still. That bike's got everything, hasn't it? Probably got electric suspension, traction control, lift control. It's definitely got a rider who can ride a lot better than me. That bike and that performance has got loads of things that I don't understand yet. But here's the thing. That bike was fast. Yeah, maybe better. That depends on your definition of better. But this VFR has made me feel something way bigger than anything on a spec sheet. The whole biking industry and economy at large wants you to buy the latest, greatest, newest thing, and that is something that can easily be overlooked. So did that modern rocket beat this old Honda on a straight, empty runway for 10 seconds? Yep, definitely faster, but that's not where we ride. That's not where life happens. Does it beat this VFR on character, on the mechanical howl that makes your soul buzz? Does it beat it on the feeling of being a hero in your own story, not just a passenger on a two-wheeled computer? Does it beat the feeling that you're in control of something real, raw, and full of heart? Well, that would be something for me to find out in the next video. But this is a time machine, and for taking you back to a feeling that you thought you'd lost forever. And that's why this 2001 Honda still beats a modern superbike.